And welcome here once again with we're going with Congruency Matters, also shorthand for CM. Uh, how art thou?
That is pretty cool. I'm doing okay. All
I,
things considered, I'm doing okay.
yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. The kids and I got into a little bit of forsooth types of talking the other night, and I don't know why. Sometimes you get into things with the people in your household because it's fun and silly. And so I was making peanut
Yeah,
butter and jelly sandwiches and trying to destroy Shakespeare, basically.
we do something similar. Claire and my partner and we have musical days where we just sing lines or we'll quote movie lines at each other in response. So
Yeah,
we do similar things. The
yeah.
Shakespeare one I would do, she wouldn't.
But she wouldn't do that. Okay.
No, no.
All right. What's a good movie? I mean, do you have any top movies right now? Because we're starting to get into the colder months. I'm probably not going to get outside as much. I'm probably going to veg. You know.
Yeah, well, I discovered probably about a month ago, Claire had never seen Airplane, Naked Gun, History of the World Part 1. She'd seen Blazing Saddles and Robin
Oh,
Hood Men in Tights, so she'd seen some Mel Brooks, but she'd never seen Spaceballs. So I've been
oh,
introducing her
yeah.
to
You got to
these other
work on that.
movies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
some might wonder if some of those movies could be made today. I don't know. I think
I,
so,
I
but
Some could. I
yeah,
think there are some elements watching Airplane, the two kids when he offers a coffee, the young kid
mhm,
replying, "I like my coffee black, like I like my men," is probably not going to
yeah,
work today
yeah,
so
yeah.
much. But
Or the
but
I was trying to think of some of the other
the
ones.
jive talking
Blazing
as well, that
Saddles.
might not work. Blazing Saddles is.
Oh my gosh, yeah. There's a
I
lot
tell
of
you what,
stuff there.
yeah, there's some good videos though of black people watching Blazing Saddles for the first time.
Oh yeah,
And yeah, I mean, they're really good because when they first hear the problematic word,
yeah. No,
they're
I
like,
know the word. I
there's
won't say it,
that
but I
horror.
know it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
that shock and horror. And then when they realize the context it's being used in,
hmm
that really they're referring to the white people and the jokes on them,
Wow.
that
Yeah,
they kind of start laughing and they get it. And they're
yeah,
really good videos to watch. Claire and I have watched a few of them.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's funny.
they're interesting.
I'll have to look those up.
Have a look.
Hopefully, I can
Yeah, they're pretty.
find those videos and put them in the show notes and be like, listen, you go knock yourself out. So,
Yeah.
um, I'm on. I didn't really mention this during the end of what I thought was season one. Whenever I did my story, I didn't really
Yeah.
mention I was going on a hiatus. I don't know if this is my first podcast, so I don't really know what people do or don't do. Even though I listen to a lot of
No.
podcasts, they're generally more corporate and filled with things like intros that I just skip past and ads that I don't have. So,
Yeah.
uh, it's when you're starting off on anything really in life, you kind of get to forge your own path and figure out what works and what doesn't. So, since you're an avid listener of the show, I thought it would be good to get some feedback, uh, get some commentary. You will not offend me about. I want honest feedback. I need it. I
Yeah.
have I have a list of questions for you, so that way I can stay on track, which is kind of rare for me.
Okay.
but
Okay.
but on top of that, I didn't mention that I was going on a pause because for several months there, it was just I was trying to be really diligent about putting out like 2 episodes a week, and then just kind of stopped. So
Yeah.
let's do a recap if you're cool with
Okay.
that. All right.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So number one, what did you like about the podcast and why was it me? No. What did you enjoy? What do you enjoy about the podcast?
um, I'll put my talk with you aside because I think mine was a little bit unique where I led more than you did
Well, it
because of
was
what I
fairly
was talking
heavy.
about. Yeah, and it
if
was
I may
heavy.
say so, a little heavy. Yeah. So which is
Yeah,
good. I like heavy, but it was
yeah.
intense.
But if I look at everything else and take that out, so we get context, I think for me, the reason that I kept coming back and I wasn't, and that, there was never an episode I thought, I don't want to listen to this, and I started listening and stopped, is that there's that kind of relaxed attitude
Hmm.
of a real conversation, like
Yeah.
relaxed, and and um, there were times that I thought, if I was doing it, would I have done it the same way? And
Yeah.
probably not. I might have pushed back a little bit more, but you
Hmm.
didn't. You allowed the conversation to develop, and people develop their own thoughts, and that, um, yeah, that kind of just that real conversation, and that's how it feels when you listen to it. It's like listening to two friends at another table, and that's what draws me in because it feels authentic, and
That means a lot.
that's
That means a lot to
that's
me.
all you
It
can
really
ask for.
does. Because
Yeah,
that's I feel like we'd get a lot farther in life if we had more conversations of people just sitting at a table breaking bread, if I may pull a spiritual reference. But breaking bread and like just talking about things, and not nobody's yelling, nobody's screaming, that type of thing. Because it's so easy. It's very easy for me to go online and type some screamy stuff. But you know, uh,
yeah,
and I don't know. Sometimes I wonder how authentic that is when I don't have the capability to converse. I really kind of don't like getting into such as back and forth, tit for tat online debate. I don't particularly care for that. I would rather have a
yeah,
discussion. Like if I ask you,
yeah,
why do you like airplane, and you tell me, and then we have a discussion about that. That's far more uh, better for my taste, I think, than going back and forth. But that's just me. But that means a
yeah,
lot. Conversations at a
yeah,
table, I love it.
yeah. And of course, you're limited in online back and forth by text. You're
Yes.
limited by the interpretation of it by
Oh
the other
yeah.
person. You hope you're conveying yourself well enough. So
Intonation.
it is more, yeah, more
Yeah.
problematic.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't.
It's a question.
You may have noticed I don't do it as much anymore. From when I
I,
last spoke to you, I've cut right back on it.
yeah. I think it's good to do that. I had to do it
Yeah,
for a couple of days. I logged out completely and removed the app from my phone just to give me a breather, and I came back feeling better. Although I don't know, I'm trying to work through the personal regulation of information consumption. That's my best way of putting it.
yeah,
And that you have people in your house, and I have people in my house, and the fact of the matter is, if I'm staring at a black rectangle, a black mirror, if you will, then
yeah,
I'm not talking to them. I actually get better interaction, even if we're just watching TV, than with these devices. And
yeah,
they're so great. I love the devices. Oh, the camera is great, and I can use a map, and I can figure out where to
yeah,
go, and I can also consume large amounts of time doing things that maybe could be better spent doing, other things. So I'm working on it. It's
yeah,
I don't want to just remove it, but I also don't want to
yeah.
be drunk on
There's a
it.
good book by a psychologist called Adam Alter, and
Okay.
it's called Irresistible, and it talks about how we're drawn in to the digital world. And the one recommendation that came from it that I use is if I'm sitting here and I'm watching TV, if I've got my phone next to me, I'll pick up my phone
Right.
automatically.
They call that the
If I
second
put it,
screen.
yeah, if I put it more than a meter away from me,
Uh
I
huh.
don't do it as much because I can't be bothered to go for it. And he said, human nature, me, if you just put it out of your reach, just across the room, You're less
Mm-hmm.
likely to pick it up. You'll concentrate on what you're doing because we conserve action. And if the action conserver is not reaching across the room for that phone, you're
Yeah.
not going to pick it up and you won't worry about it. And
Yeah.
it works. When I'm
Yeah.
writing, when I'm sitting here and I'm especially when I'm writing my Substack
Yeah.
or I'm editing it, the phone is across the room.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it vibrates or unless I'm getting a repeat call coming in, I ignore it because it's
Yeah.
across the room and I think, I'm sitting here with my laptop. I just can't be bothered with that. And it
That's
works.
gener- that's generally my rule for all phone calls, though. Like you have to,
Yeah,
you have to
I
call back if you
screen
want to
them.
get a hold of me because I probably have it on some sort of weird focus do not disturb unless it's between the hours of whatever and whatever, and you're also in my contact list, and it's intense. I just don't
Yeah,
like phone calls.
yeah. I'm the same. You're better off sending me a message.
Yeah, yeah, for
More
sure.
likely to answer.
Yeah. All right. I made a note of the book. Irresistible? Is that what you said?
Irresistible. Yeah.
Okay.
Adam Alta. Yeah, it's
Adam.
pretty good.
All right.
Adam Alta. ALT. He did another book called Drunk Tank Pink, which is slightly shorter book, which is all about how color and image and the world around us, advertising, affect us and what
Oh,
they're actually
yeah.
doing to us. Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, he's a social psychologist, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. That's cool. I like that kind of stuff.
yeah,
So, yeah,
yeah,
I'll check it out then. All right. Your episode aside, I'm on to question two. Did
yeah,
you have any favorite episodes?
yeah. For me, I mean, I'm a white cis dude,
Mm-hmm.
and my aspect of the world is white cis
Mm-hmm.
het.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that really struck me was I know I can't. I wish I could remember his name. Was the black ex believer?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
He he's that really opened up my eyes. I listened to that 2 or 3 times
Oh,
because
that's great.
there was insights to another,
KD.
almost another world I didn't know,
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
understand, and
Right.
it it got me asking questions that I would never have considered
Mm-hmm.
because I don't live in a world where I don't have privilege. I
Yeah.
don't. I didn't come from a background where religion was almost beat into you.
Yeah.
Didn't have that. And so that was really interesting to me just to listen to that. That was my probably my favorite episode.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna say something. I want to preface it with I
Yeah.
absolutely do not believe that this is not a persecution fetish. This is just
No.
a different understanding. And that is that when I was a believer, I
Mm.
never ever experienced discrimination. And then when belief went away and
Yeah.
I finally became a minority of something, then I woke up to a lot of things that I didn't understand before
Yeah.
about how if you're different from the the majority of people that are around you, about what that can look like, about what they think, about how you think about them, about little injustices that to them is not a big deal and to you it crosses
Yeah.
lines. And so again, not a persecution fetish. I'm fine, I'm strong,
No.
I'm a big boy. That said, I get some things now, and now I feel a little bit more of I want to be a champion, and I want to help. I don't want to. I'm not a white knight. I'm not a savior. But if there's something I can do,
Yeah.
we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
about some
Yeah.
recent efforts that I've tried to do something, but it just added a level of understanding that brought
Yeah.
me to a level of understanding that I hadn't had before.
Yeah.
And
A kind of level of empathy, probably.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think that's something I ever would have got to. Maybe. I mean, it's like it's hard to say for sure, but if I would have continued to believe, it's very easy to just stay in the bubble and um, go to church and say your prayers and read your Bible, and everything's fine for you because it's all going to burn in the end anyway. Um,
Yeah.
and now you see real pain on a daily basis and see what people are going through, and I just understand things differently. So I concur with your assessment of that episode that
Yeah.
it causes you to just think. I love that, man. If anybody takes something away from a podcast that I helped shove into the world, that they thought about
Yeah.
something, I'm good. Like
Yeah.
that's icing on the cake right there.
Yeah.
That's great.
It really did. It made me think.
Yeah,
Made me just really try and step out of my own shoes
yeah.
and look at the world with fresh eyes. It
With fresh
was
eyes.
good.
Yeah,
Really good.
I could use some fresh eyes. My eyes are very tired today, but that's a side note. So give it to me straight. What could
Yeah.
I have done better? Let me get my thick skin on real quick.
What could you have done better? Um, Depends on what your goal would have been, I would say. My first thought would be, as I said, I think, I don't know whether we were recording, but I think I said it before. Um, there were some episodes where I would have pushed back a little bit more, but
Mm-hmm.
quite, I'm that way. I'm quite, as Claire puts it, I'm an antagonist. I don't think that. I mean, I think she's exaggerating it, but I do like to push back on what people say.
Yeah.
Um, that might not be your style, so I'm just giving how I might have done it, and
Mm-hmm.
and you can say, well, you invest the money and time, and you do it then if you can do it better. But that's not what I mean by it. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Yeah. Well, if my insight is that in my long distant past, I did some journalism work, and when you do that, you have to push back, or else you don't get the answers. You
yeah,
don't get the story. Uh,
no,
so, but in these cases, I'm listening to other people tell their story, and so
stories. Yeah, and that's the
yeah,
difference. Yeah,
it's slightly different. Um,
yeah,
and I kind of take things at face value unless I'm really unclear about something. Uh, and then I do push back. But there may have been some times that it just
yeah,
slipped past me. That's another
yeah.
possibility that it's like, whoops, it just
I
went by.
th- and I think the only other thing, and I think it happened in mine, and I think it happened in a couple of other people's. The episode, was it the episode with the girl talking about meditation? The
Yeah,
woman who spoke about
yeah.
it sort of meanders towards the end rather than feeling like it's coming to an end. And that's the
Oh,
only other thing I noticed.
yeah.
And I think that
Yeah,
happened with mine, certainly. We meandered.
that's fair sometimes, but that's oh man. I mean, one of these days, whenever we get together in a pub and have a pint, you'll
Yeah.
find out that that is literally how I talk. Like I do.
Yeah,
I
so
kind
yeah, but I'm no different. I'm no different,
okay.
but I'm trying to be critical about it. Critique it in
Yeah,
a
yeah,
fair way.
yeah. You'll find out that that's absolutely how I do things. In fact, I would say that this probably helps me stay a little bit, not much though, but just a little bit on track. But that's
Yeah,
fair. I mean, sometimes you got to have a good, and that's where I think that one of the things that I don't usually do is make pre written notes or questions because I like it to be conversational. But then
Yeah.
I think I started realizing some of what you just pointed out toward the end that I probably should on my next go. Which, to be fair, I'm literally looking at my phone asking you questions tonight. So
Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
so I'm trying to get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's an
Anything
experience
else?
of learning, though, isn't it? Yeah, but
Oh, it is.
you're learning.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't succeed first time, and if we do, we never learn.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Did you get that off a fortune cookie or did you just make that up? Because it's pretty good.
Uh, yeah, it was something I used to say to my kids when they were younger,
Yeah.
because kids when they fail get very upset,
Yeah.
and I used
Uh,
to just say to them, this failure is the most important bit. This
yeah.
is where you're doing your learning.
It really
So it is a
is.
bit fortune cookie, but it's also true. We
It is
No one
true.
learns by success.
Yeah. I'm guessing you probably haven't heard of the podcast slash radio show This American Life because
I've
of
heard of
course
it.
you. Okay.
I have
So
heard of it.
the host Ira Glass, who has done it for
Yeah,
decades, um, he had a YouTube clip, Instagram reel, I don't know what. It was kind of floating around, and uh,
yeah,
I'm sure I could find it if I wanted to take the time to look it up. But he talks about the thing that never is told to those making any kind of creative work. Like, you're not told this in the beginning. No one ever sits you down and says your initial efforts will be shit.
yeah, yeah.
they, they're going to suck, right? They're going to be terrible. And that's okay because that everybody starts off that way. It's always terrible at the beginning, and then you build upon that because you make quote unquote mistakes, and you learn and you adapt and you get better. And I think in our weird ass society that sometimes everybody thinks that they have to be perfect all the time right out of the gate. And I don't know where that came from, but I hope more people get that into their head that your initial effort is not going to be any good.
No,
And
no.
that's okay because it will later down the line. You just keep going.
Yeah, I do something on Substack. I've done one. I've got another person. So I look at young writers,
Hmm.
and there are lots of 16, 17, 18, 19 year who were writing their thoughts.
Yeah.
And there was a young writer called Asher that was trying to work out life and received tons of criticism. So I
Yeah.
wrote a piece and referred to them. I spoke to them first, said, I want to write this piece about you and your
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
And I say clearly that, yes, they're going to make mistakes. There are things that Asher writes that my worldly experience says you're pretty much wrong on that,
Hmm.
but they articulate it well,
Yeah.
and it is based on their experience at that point. And I kicked back all those big writers who were
Nice.
kicking down and punching down, and just said, if we don't give people the room to make the mistake and breathe and learn and grow,
Yeah.
they're going to end up as bitter as you are. Because I mean, I didn't word it exactly like that, but that's what I meant.
Yeah.
Uh, and somebody actually sent me an email saying, uh, you don't have a high subscriber count. What's the point in that? And I just put back, ha ha ha. Do you think subscriber count matters?
Right. Yeah.
And that's
I
all I
know.
replied. And they never come back at me.
Mm. I mean, it it's hard to defeat someone that doesn't care about that.
No,
Like,
no.
I've seen people post like on threads about like, oh, I said something. This is like usually what I've seen. Oh, I said something and I lost X amount of followers. And I'm like, well, one, how do you know that your follower count
It's
going
dropped.
down or up had anything to
Yeah,
do with what you said? Because I know from a technology perspective that people, that these companies, the platforms, go through and comb through and get rid of bots. Not all of them, obviously, but
yeah.
from time to time,
No,
the obvious ones. I'm
mhm.
sure everybody's followed by some bots, and they pay no mind to it, and they just go on about their life, right? So some of that gets cold. Culled. Hope I said that right in the right
Yeah,
context. But and then other times people take a break or they decide to leave, right, and say, well, I'm gonna peace out,
yeah.
I don't need this in my life right now. And so you have no idea that it has anything to do with um, what you've
No.
said, unless somebody actually said, I'm leaving you because you made this statement. That's pretty direct. That helps. But
Yeah,
otherwise, yeah,
yeah.
you don't know. And I don't look at my account. I don't care. I mean, I'm just,
I
just playing around, you know.
yeah. I mean, I kind of I think my Threads follower count ranges sort of
Mm-hmm.
between late 500s and the early 600s. And
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, the only reason I know is somebody posted, "Oh, but you've only got these amount of followers the other day," and I just put a GIF up with someone going shrug
You could have went
because
with,
like
thank you for letting me know. I never look at it.
yeah.
You know.
No, I did what I did based on one of your recommendations. I did the same. I turned the like count off,
Mm-hmm.
so I
Yeah.
don't know who's got likes. Who like
Yeah.
the only time is if somebody responds,
Yeah.
and I like it much better. I don't
Yeah.
care.
Somebody
I don't
said,
need the affirmation
right.
of my in that way.
Yeah, somebody was saying to me, "Oh, did you see the ratio on one of the posts of somebody else?" It's like, no, I didn't
No, I
see.
can only see the
I see the
comment
number
number.
of comments, but I don't have any
Yeah,
idea what the ratio of likes to comments are. So I
yeah,
don't know. I mean, because that's the little tiny thing I can do on social media. I think it's a nice addition, and it's something that I think came about
mm,
from learning, failing, right? As
yeah,
these platforms started taking off, about, well, what can we do to maybe try to help with the mental burden that comes with social media. Like, for instance, on Facebook, which I'm not even on Facebook. Every once in a while, I get on for Marketplace, and then I delete my account because I get so frustrated with that damn smiley face. Because somebody comes along, like, you make a
yeah,
statement, and you're like, I'm really bothered about the state of, you know, puppies being shot in the street by random strangers, and then someone will come along and give it a funny face, and it
yeah,
just sends me into rage. And then I realize that I can't be on that platform, all because of that one stupid emoji. Like, it
yeah.
literally causes me anger.
Before they introduced that, I always used to feel uncomfortable that when you would say something like you've said and somebody would like it, and I'd go, "What's to like?"
Yeah,
No,
what's to like? Yeah,
I'd rather you put "I agree."
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I even hearting something kind of feels, it's more, it's sometimes it's like, well, that's an acknowledgement, or maybe it
Yeah,
means, it you really can't assume, because it could be an acknowledgement.
no,
It could be, I'm getting this in my activity feed, and then I download the data later, and then I see all the things. I mean, I don't know. People can use this stuff in lots of different ways for their own purposes, and it is impossible for me to truly know how they do it. But I usually
no.
give somebody a like. It's like an
But it was the
acknowledgement. Yeah.
best recommendation I've taken from anyone,
Well,
and it changed my whole experience of using
maybe I can
Threads.
find a social media expert to give me some insight on stuff, um,
Mm.
on future episode or something like that. That might be
Yeah,
good.
that'd
Maybe
be pretty
somebody that,
cool.
yeah, psychology. But I'm always worried that if you want to talk to somebody like a therapist or a psychologist or whatever, that they're afraid that you're just trying to get free help. And I don't. Maybe that's
Mm.
all in my head. I don't want that. I don't want free help. Um, I just want to have a conversation,
Yeah,
talk about things. So
I know a couple. If
yeah,
ever you do think about it, I know a
okay,
couple. that
Okay.
may have interest.
Okay. Well, we will cross that bridge when we get to it, I guess.
Yeah,
So far, I've recorded 2 episodes for season 2. I'm doing air quotes here,
yeah.
but we'll talk about why there won't be a season 2. Dun, dun, dun. Here, just a second.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else that could be done differently besides meandering?
Um, no, I think the format works really well.
Okay.
And because you had Justin from DZ on, who has done many podcasts,
Yeah.
many shows,
Many shows. Yeah.
just listening to that conversation, which was a surprise, an absolute incredible surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But uh, the format was good with him as well. He
Yeah.
didn't he didn't seem to want to force it in a direction he's used to doing. He
Yeah.
just kept the conversation
I didn't
loose.
want to
It
go
was really
there.
good.
I was very interested in hearing about his childhood because the older I get, the more I realize that everything seems to be tied to our childhood, literally everything, and which scares the hell out of me as a dad, because I don't want to
Yeah,
ruin my kids. But so it was fun to get a little bit of the backstory that I don't know that I've heard a lot of, and with Justin, from Deconstruction Zone, which I tend to link to and mention. um, I
yeah,
I what I like about his show is that it's kind of like it's he doesn't talk about politics. He sticks to the script. It's that steady it's that steady thing. It's for me it's equivalent to Star Trek in the sense that I can watch it and it brings me to a place of calm because I know it's not going to go anywhere that I'm not uh, un- uncomfortable going. I hope I said that right. But
yeah, yeah,
if
yeah,
that
yeah,
makes sense, it's a
yeah,
regular standby in a world that is increasingly insane. So I deeply appreciate that, and I enjoyed hearing his story and what I really like about it. I mean, he's clearly rising in his popularity, and his show is becoming more popular
yeah,
to the point that he was able to quit his day gig, his day job, and
yeah,
now and try to make a go of this. And what I like is that he is very encouraging of other creators that are failing,
yeah,
and and learning. And for him, I just shot an email. So, and again, I'm a fan, but also uh, we're co-creators in a weird space. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it was great. That this is my note for anyone else in the world, is that if you want to try something, just try it. I mean, what could he say? No.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
so I'm like, I'm going to shoot him an email. And I've emailed other people that I would like to have on the show, and some of them said yes, but just not right now. And I said that's cool. And some I haven't heard back from, and that's cool. And then some say yes, and we just
yeah,
go with the yeses. And then we'll work it out later and see if we can't get some of those other people that I'd like to have on. But
yeah.
yeah.
And I
Okay.
think that mix of expertise, I mean, he's an expert in his field. There's
Oh,
no
absolutely.
two ways about that.
No.
I mean, the fact that he's on the line now and he is the Bible expert
Yeah.
is really good. Um, and you've got this mixture of people like me that are non-believers but never had religion. There's
Hmm.
others that have got other experiences, and then you've got an expert in his field. That mix is really nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It keeps it
I agree.
grounded. It's not like you're doing the Diary of a CEO kind of podcast where
Right.
everyone's
Yeah.
an expert in something.
Everyone's an expert. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I do listen to that from time to time. I think it's a
sometimes.
pretty good podcast. Occasionally there's some guest on there that I'm like, yeah, I I don't care for this guest. But sometimes it's important to force yourself to listen to things
To
that
things you don't want to, yeah.
you don't want to. And I certainly follow some people that's my sole reason for following them is because I kind of disagree with them on a lot of things.
Yeah.
Uh, but that's a personal choice. One has to decide for themselves if that works. But I think it's good to hear opposing views.
Yeah, it's a battle of curation and bubble.
Yeah,
Do you create?
right.
Do you curate what you want to listen to and live in a bubble? Do you create this view across the horizon? And
Hmm.
even though you might not agree with this side, the one side, or even the middle or the other side, at least you're getting other views. I mean, if you look at my YouTube, um, there is Christian podcasts,
Yeah.
and I listen to them.
Hmm.
I listen. There's a Muslim one that I was recommended to someone on Substack said, "Have you listened
Okay.
to this person?" So I do. Um, to be honest, he his religion aside, he's very good at articulating his
Yeah.
points, and I enjoy that part of it. The other bit, not so much, but I still listen to it because it's important. It's
Right.
important if I'm going to criticize something, I need
Hmm.
to know what the other person's saying. Otherwise, I'm just criticizing a brick wall.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's not a very good position to start from, ignorance,
No,
you
no,
know.
no, no. So
uh,
yeah, but I do like that mix. That mix is good.
Well, here are my own critiques of things that I wish I would have done differently. Number one, no seasons. This is an idea that I had heard about a while back about how podcasters had gotten burned out because they tried to go on and on and on forever. And I'm like, I don't want that. I want to have some scheduled breaks, kind of like how I live my life. I have scheduled breaks throughout the year.
Yeah,
I think you take vacations. So I'm like, okay, I'll do a season here and I'll do a season there and whatever, and I'll have breaks. And then I realized that the reason why I don't like the season idea kind of it doesn't really make sense because it's not like a TV show. Like when am I coming back or whatever. I like doing
yeah,
this. This is a wonderful hobby for me. I just
yeah,
I put on my headphones tonight and I was like, oh, it's been a minute. I missed this and um
yeah,
but part of the other things that I want to do differently, I was really trying to mimic the comedian Mark Maron, who just ended his
yeah.
podcast after 16 years. And he, on one of his podcasts, he said, "Well, we put out an episode every Monday and Thursday for the last 16 years." And I was like, I want to emulate Mark Maron, and I'm going to do two. That might be a tad bit aggressive, to
Hmm.
do two a week and see how much you can get out there. I think one a week would be maybe better, and
Yeah,
then have occasional gaps here and there, right? But another thing about the season, I wish that, and I'm going to play around with the back end of this to see if I can fix it, but I wish I could just number them in sequence, starting at basically 000 and go up, right? Rather than
yeah,
season one, episode one, blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
I wish I would have done that. So in my head, I know these are not major, but they're failures, right? There's because I
yeah,
wouldn't
yeah,
return back to that. So I guess the theme of the night is failure. We'll
yeah.
just roll with that. I'm sorry, it's night here. Um, and so what was that? So yeah, not do two episodes a week, no seasons, just like continual. It's an ongoing conversation, right?
Hmm.
And speaking of failures, and you have no idea how hard I am trying right now to focus on my words and not say things like and really really thinking a lot about it. I
Yeah,
realize it's common and that everybody does it. I hate it, and I want to try to get better to where I naturally speak without doing a lot of ums and you knows. What I refer to as verbal diarrhea,
Yeah.
because uh, talk about listening back and kind of wincing a little bit. But then I start listening to other podcasts, and I realize they have editors, and even the software that I use, it has the capability. It tells you, yeah, would you like us to go through and remove ums and ahs? But then I listened to some of those, and that sounded even weirder because it was like a pause here and there, and it just didn't feel fluid. So I decided
Yeah,
to
it becomes
leave.
like almost artificial.
Yeah, right. And I don't want that. So I said, well, I'll just I'll just leave the garbage in and work on trying to fix it. And maybe if I need like a dog collar shocker or something like that, if I say, I found some apps that you can that I need to try out. I've downloaded them. I haven't signed up or anything yet, but I you could try to change your vocals, which I think it's a skill. I think it's something that can be learned, and it's a behavior. It's not necessarily a tick in my case. It's just something that never got corrected because I was always able to kind of rely on writing rather than talking.
Ah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
From a behavior point of view, um, and I'm doing and I do it, and I know I do. I don't worry about it so much because often it's when I'm thinking as I'm talking. But you could, which is what I try to do, is when I'm talking to someone and we're having a conversation like this and it's being recorded, is instead
Mm-hmm.
of going just nod,
Just nod.
just nod instead,
Yeah.
because it doesn't matter then. And there might be a small pause, but that's natural for conversation. So I think that's if somebody came to me and said, I want to change my behavior on that, that would be one of the directions. So it's cognitive. So every time you think you're going to just nod, and eventually it just becomes muscle memory.
I like it. Um,
Having taught people behavior, that's the way I would do it.
yeah. Well, it's replacing a negative habit with something that is either better or
Mm,
at the least uh, non-harmful, right? So,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a stretch to say that ums and ahs are and you knows. I don't know. You guys say a lot of you knows over there?
Um, do I? Do I? No. My uh, the mother of my children did,
Okay.
except wasn't just it was you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
You know what I mean? Okay.
All
So,
the time, and it didn't matter
yeah,
even if it didn't apply. She'd said it that much; it was added onto the sentence.
right. Yeah. I've heard
I
that.
think, yeah,
You know
it's
what I
kind of
mean?
it's
Yeah.
kind of mind virus because I realised that I was picking up on that, and
Uh huh.
I'd visit my parents, and my parents were like, "What? Why are you saying that?" And I was saying, "What? I hadn't even noticed it," and it mind
Right.
virus me.
Yeah. See, I just did it. Fuck. But
Yeah.
the fortunately, because the world is
Would you like me
expansive,
to keep a
whenever
tally for
what?
you? Would you like me to tally them for you so you know how
Yeah,
often you do it?
we could make it into a drinking game or something, and then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but we're fortunate enough to be able to see movies from other places, and you might watch a Guy Ritchie film, for instance, and then hear the different ways people talk. And I know that
Yeah.
he's coming from a very personal experience, right? So
Yeah.
it it's you start to hear those things, but I never made the connection until now of and then you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That it's basically the same thing. It's
It
a
is. Yeah.
there's got to be a word for that to describe what that's called. Something better than verbal diarrhea.
Mm,
although it is verbal diarrhea. Um,
There's a psychologist called Jay Pennebaker, and he wrote a book called The Secret Life of Pronouns. But it's not actually about
I love
pronouns.
the
It's a
I love the title.
Yeah, but what he talks about is all the filler words, so the it's, the acts, the,
Yes.
all those little words, plus all the vocal. I think he calls them. I think you might refer to them as vocal ticks. So the ums, the ahs, the sounds we make in between,
Yeah.
are like just vocal ticks that we pick up, and how the book just explains what people are doing with language and how you can decipher what people really mean by looking at the amount of filler words and the
Okay.
vocal ticks and where they appear. And I know
Yeah.
the behaviorist Mark Bowden talks about the way we make noises that are not words
Yeah.
and how they apply to how someone's behaving and thinking. So yeah, they call it. I think vocal tick is what I've heard them called before. I still don't think it's apt. I don't think it's the
Hmm.
most apt thing.
Right. What I have found as I've tried to work on this, even just day to day life, right, that
Mhm.
it's a little mentally exhausting because you're thinking a lot about what you're saying. And maybe that's not such a bad thing. Maybe more of us should think more about what we say
Mhm.
before we
Yeah,
say it.
I think it's
I'm
exhausting
nodding.
because,
So
yeah, I think it's exhausting
it
uh,
is.
simply because our brain functions in two ways where we have these it tries to conserve energy at every point. So
Right.
if we are asked a simple question like how many sides does a triangle have, you don't have to think about it, you know it. And that's just how that part of cognition works. So we know the answer, it's predictable, we can just say it. Then there's the other part that I can say, we can take the triangle again and say, if the triangle has three sides, how do we denote what the length of each side is? And then you've got to think, well, what type of triangle? You've got a thought process. But
Yeah.
that is the part of the brain that's slower and more thoughtful.
Yeah.
And I try to live more in that brain, and it's tiring. But the more you do it, the better you become. It's like going on a run. Your first run is always the one that you feel
Yeah.
most tired, but the more you do it, the more you become accustomed. Your body adjusts, and I think that's the same for your brain.
Yeah. Well,
So
you and I
there is
both
that to it.
we both play guitar. So,
Yeah.
how long have you been playing?
Do you want to hear the story?
Yeah,
I had a
of course.
girlfriend
Of
that
course I want to hear the story.
bought me she bought me a guitar
Yeah.
because at the time I think maybe she was into Bon Jovi, which I wasn't, but she
Yeah.
liked the song Bed of Roses, right? And she wanted me to
Hmm.
learn to play it. So yeah, I was awful. I was terrible.
Yeah.
But I taught myself to play it. Then I'd got friends who played and learned different things. So it's
Yeah.
probably from about then. I'm not sure what year that album came out, but I reckon I was around 19-ish,
Bed of
maybe
Roses from the
20.
album. That's from the album Bon Jovi, which I think came out in 1989. You want to see if I'm right? No,
Yeah, I'm not
New
sure.
New
No,
Jersey album. So Bon
yeah.
Jovi.
So I'm not really, but it's around that time. That's when I started playing, and I don't play enough. And I picked up my guitar yesterday, and I'm so rusty.
So New Jersey is the fourth studio album by American rock band Bon Jovi, released on September 19th, 1988. It was only off by 1 year.
Ooh, yeah,
Uh,
that's pretty good.
yes. So, and is that song even on that album? I don't think it
I
is.
don't know which album it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. Whatever.
yeah,
But
but
so
anyway,
basically, what
so
what I'm what I'm hearing is I learned to play guitar because I was a girl, a real an
yeah,
interest. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's a
yeah,
fair reason to learn. So
and yeah, I've sort of played it. I did pick up my guitar yesterday actually, and I was trying to play a bit of a funk riff, which is, as you know, it's 16.
Hmm.
Oh, my timing's so bad.
Yeah.
I
So
just
when
I can't get the rhythm going properly. Just can't
yeah,
do it. So I'm
well,
back to doing it slowly,
I,
building it.
tying this back to the
Yeah.
verbal tics, the diarrhea, whatever, and about how it's so exhausting, right?
Mm,
About man, I mean, do you remember those first months of learning guitar and you get the
yeah.
calluses, your soft delicate little pinkies and or
Yeah.
fingertips have never touched anything so violent as a metal wound up string that you have to touch those things with pressure constantly to get the sound. And if you don't get it all the way down on the fretboard, then it makes that little buzzing noise whenever it hits the frets
Yeah.
because nothing's quite right. And you just sound like you suck. And at first you're just, oh, this hurts. This is painful. I don't know if I want to go
Yeah.
back. And then
Yeah.
you pick it up and say, well, then the calluses start to form, right? They start to get on the ridge. I still have them. I mean, I still play and stuff, and yeah, they form, and then over time they become something you don't even think about. Same with the verbal tics. That if you can change it, it might be hard at first, but then
Yeah.
and then learning rhythm or learning lead. I'm not a lead guy that much really, but
No, normal.
to learn these things, and one of my daughters is learning bass. She was practicing tonight, and I try to tell her this stuff. I'm like, listen, you got to understand all these rudimentary things that I'm trying to teach you, slowing things down. I said, you got to get to the point where it becomes muscle memory, where it's second nature. And I said, then that's actually when it becomes fun because then you don't have to think about that stuff. So that's where I'm trying to get with the vocal stuff. I'm trying to get to
Yeah.
a point
Yeah.
where I don't think about it. I naturally come across, but I
Mm.
totally am figuring out that I'm going to have to do the work. And I,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. What we're talking about is purposeful practice.
purposeful practice. Absolutely.
Yeah. So by slowing down a rhythm and where your fingers go, and you are
Yeah.
practicing with purpose. And you've got to do the same sort of thing.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
So I'm going to work on it, and we'll see if we can't get this stopped to the point that it doesn't require a drinking game made out of how many times do I say and aw. But
Yeah.
feel free to call me out. That's okay. I will get better. That's the thing. It's not. I
Yeah.
hope
Yeah. Cool.
I
Yeah.
will get better because I am practicing it, and that's probably why recently I've really done it a lot in the last couple of weeks where I try to think more intentionally about what I'm saying. And since I literally have to talk every day because that's just normal life for me anyway, that it it has been mentally draining. Like I come home from work and
It's
like, oh
tiring.
my
Yeah.
gosh, yeah. I've thought about my I've thought about how I'm speaking all day long and it's been rough.
Yeah.
Another thing that I'd like to add is maybe to change on the podcast or more of an addition, an enhancement. Uh,
Yeah.
get it out to some other platforms. Was interested in TikTok for a hot minute, but now I'm not so sure because I don't know what I at least pushing stuff to it. I don't really need to interact there. There's a treasure trove of atheists on TikTok. It's amazing.
Yeah. There is. Yeah. Yeah.
And once you get into their algorithm, I mean, you want to talk about a bubble. You'll be in quite the bubble there. I've noticed their algorithm is really really good at continuing to show you things that you've already expressed an interest in. Uh,
Yeah.
but TikTok to me is a little problematic because it's changing ownership and the things in the US are weird and
Yeah.
I don't know. So I haven't really push that much. I mean, I have my Instagram account, as you know, that has nothing on it. I think it has one thing that was basically just a test. But there is a way where I can push audio only content with some sort of video background or whatever, just to expand it, just to get it out there. Because I don't
Yeah.
know, there's probably a deconstructionist out there right now that was like me, who was searching for answers and looking for other voices than the ones they had already heard for a long time.
Mm.
And if I can help somebody, uh, point them in the way, uh, of somebody else that has gone through a similar thing, but just by talking to me and recording it, then I want to be able to help. So to
Yeah.
try to
You,
expand a little bit would be good. It just,
yeah, you could cut. You could even take snippets and make a reel from it.
yeah, no, the
Snippets of the
software,
conversation.
they do that. Like it says, would you like to generate? We'll
Yeah,
generate some snippets for you, and you see if you like it. So, so there's that. And then the other thing that I'd really like to do, that I don't rely on this, but throw up a Patreon, and if somebody wants to throw a few bucks, that's fine. I don't really want to do ads because there's so many ads in the world. Just
yeah,
way, there's so much, and I'd rather. I'm totally not trying to replace my income or anything like this. This is a hobby
no,
that is
no,
filled with information that I couldn't necessarily get easily in other formats, but in other places. But uh, if somebody wants to throw something, that's cool. I I don't care. I mean,
yeah.
I'll do it.
I was listening. I was listening to Matt Dillahunty talking about asking for money for his
Yeah,
Patreon, and he feels awful doing it. Other people don't have an issue. He said, "I just don't like doing it." And he
yeah,
doesn't even like asking for other people. So they did a charity thing for the Secular Student Alliance, and you can
yeah,
see he's uncomfortable asking for donations for that.
yeah.
So I understand when I mean, I can see how uncomfortable you are just even thinking about it.
Well, I'm okay with asking. I'm okay with sticking it out there and just adding it as like,
Yeah,
it's it's
but the
it's there
plug-in
if
of
you
it,
want. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Um, but lately in the United States, there's been a lot of discussion about who you support because of how they're monetized. Okay,
yeah,
so
yeah,
do I support a company like Spotify if they run ads for another agency that I'm not a fan of? That's a
yeah,
thing, right? And these advertising
yeah,
networks, the way they work is you pretty much just kind of sign up, and then they inject whatever into there, and I think you probably have some control, but it's probably not granular. It's different than if
yeah,
you were a good sized podcast, like, let's say, there's this woman physician that I like named Dr. Gabrielle Lyon, and she's
yeah,
really big into strength, and her ads are from sponsors that she's worked out a deal with, right? So that's different than these ad
yeah,
networks where they're just throwing stuff in there. And so you might listen to a podcast and then hear an ad and be like, oh, well, I didn't know they supported that, when that creator maybe had no idea that that ad was even injected by the time it gets delivered to your podcast player of choice. So
yeah,
um, that's why I like the idea of just no ads. And and if somebody
yeah,
wants to support something, that's fine. But or
yeah, yeah,
it would be better if you produce something, and then if they choose to buy it, like a book, like, books, videos, extra stuff,
yeah,
that to me is far better than sponsorships and ads, just
yeah. I've
because
got on my Substack, I've got a paid subscriber option that I haven't turned on.
I haven't turned it on. Yeah,
No, and I think it's for the same reason. I
yeah,
kind of I feel, yeah, mm, just doesn't sit well with me. But I'm wondering whether that's some of my Britishness
yeah.
because we typically, yeah, or perhaps I'm stereotyping myself. I don't know, but I don't think typically we are here. We are very pushy in that sort of area. We don't
Yeah.
push ourselves out there so much. I think it's
I,
changing, but I'm of a different generation to.
I've gotten to the point where I don't even like money anymore. Just,
No, I don't.
I
No.
mean, I don't think anybody does. Why do we do this? Why are we in this system that we've created for ourselves? Like, wow, let's enjoy this little hell that we've created. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's all. Oh, and then the other thing was a little bit more uh, non-religious stories. Like we talked about the meditation
Yeah.
episode, and I liked that to expand because it still focuses on the core of what I wanted to do with direction, which is of the show, is just people that ask questions and then change their life. I've got a few people that I do want to hit them up and say, I want to hear your story because you don't think there's anything there, but I see something. So let's chat about it and I'll draw it out of you. But um, yeah.
Yeah. The meditation one for me was it was interesting because I've got a friend, and this has a different meaning in Australia, a naturopath,
Hmm.
which is what we would consider in the UK, and I'm sure the United States. If you are skeptical, you might go,
Hmm.
That's bordering on, or he's not, he's definitely pseudoscience, but
Yeah.
it, you have to be registered. So she has a podcast,
Hmm.
and she kind of she talks about she started talking about topics originally that was related to that, but since then she's expanded, and often she now says to me, "Have you got a topic I can talk about?" And I've given her ones like choosing the bear. She had no idea. She lives in her little
Oh,
bubble. She didn't know what it was.
oh,
So I
didn't hear
said,
about choosing the bear. Oh,
no. So she went and looked into it, and she did a podcast on it.
yeah,
She said, she credited me with the idea, and I'm not really bothered about that.
yeah,
But for her, in her podcast world now, she's moved away from. She realizes after conversations with not just me but others that naturopath on a podcast, if you're not Australian or a place where it's a registered profession and it's
yeah.
monitored and regulated, that just sounds like you're pseudoscience, and that's not what she wants.
Right.
So you have to be. I think you've got to be careful on how you market yourself. But
See,
the
my
meditation
pushback,
one was really good
yeah,
because it
my
didn't
pushback
step
on
that line.
for your friend would be teach us about how it's done in Australia, about how you
Yeah,
have to be registered. Tell us about what goes into that, so that way, because America has a lot of quacks, for instance,
yeah. Everyone's a
like,
coach.
but I also everyone's a coach, everyone's a expert, um, and how do I put this? There are elements of pseudoscience that sometimes kind of work, right? But it's not. I think the reality is that it's not the pseudo. There's something else going on, and I'm interested in what that
Yeah,
is. It's like anecdotal evidence. Well,
yeah.
anecdotal evidence is not very good because it's not, from a data perspective, it's not high quality, but it's
No.
it's not nothing, so we should investigate it. But a good example is, all right. So I'll pick a really fun one: the carnivore diet. Okay. So the carnivore
Uh,
diet, whenever it first started kind of bubbling to the surface, probably about 10 years ago, I think, 8 or 10 years ago, that there was discussion about gluten and highly processed grains and what that does to our bodies and how it makes us feel. And then, there was this it sounds, whenever you say it out loud, it sounds absolutely nuts, right? You only eat meat? What? And then you do a little research and you find out that there are some people in this world that have only eaten animal products only for a very, very long time, and they don't have scurvy. And maybe they mitigate it with, it really doesn't take that much vitamin C to mitigate scurvy. I mean,
No,
it's not
no,
having any is the problem. But they've, and it worked for them because they had some other underlying medical condition that for whatever reason this is working for them. um, so those are anecdotal, though. Those are not, double blind controlled studies.
yeah,
But we shouldn't ignore them. We should just look into them a little bit more. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you should uh, agree wholeheartedly that this is the way everyone should eat, right? Because I don't
no,
really. Everybody should figure that out for themselves.
hmm
That said, I have tried it before, and I did it for a few months. And my anecdotal evidence is that uh, it's actually pretty awesome. Uh, I I enjoyed it because I don't care about food. To me, food is just energy. I don't really get real caught up. I'm like, ooh,
yeah,
lasagna tonight. That's fantastic. Let me take a picture and post it to Instagram. I don't care.
no,
It's
no,
just
no.
energy. And for me, it was something that I didn't have to think about. It was simple. What are you having? I'm having some hamburgers. Okay. Anything else? Nope. That's it. I'm having the hamburgers. And then I'll be really nice about this, but from a digestive point of view, it it really helped. Like, it made things better for me, not worse. Now, I didn't go really long term, so I don't have any blood uh, blood test results, or anything
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. But for a short term thing, I found it beneficial for a time. It's an elimination diet, is what it is. You're basically getting down
yeah,
to, like, well, what's the building blocks of life? Protein? Okay, great. We'll just stick with that and try to live our lives.
yeah,
And it's not going to be for everybody, but it is one of those things that it also got politicized by the, like, right wingers in America seem to latch onto
yeah,
it for whatever reason. And then after that, then
yeah,
you lose the ability to actually talk objectively about it, because now it's become a freaking way of eating has become uh, politicized. And I'm like, wow,
yeah,
that's not good. I mean, it's just as bad as getting on to vegans, which would be the exact opposite of all of that.
yeah. And I've done that.
Getting on,
I've done that,
yeah,
and I enjoyed it when I did it for the
yeah,
short period I did it. I felt
yeah.
good, but
But politicization
food,
happens, and
yeah,
then you have fights over, and anyway, I say all that is that you need, it's a starting point to dive deeper and find out the mechanics behind things rather than getting all upset about it. So, man,
yeah.
how did we get on this topic? I feel like we're meandering. I'm sorry, because
Yes, we are. No,
okay,
no.
so
I,
oh yeah, so we were talking about just non-religious stories and, like, getting into topics
yeah,
that um
yeah,
so if I could have that conversation with somebody and not just to talk about it and maybe get some
yeah.
experts. I'm not saying that that's the topic I want to get on the show, but it is an
No,
example of something that requires going deeper into. And then whenever you talk about, like, pseudoscience and,
yeah,
naturopathy, it's like, well, let's dig into, like, what are the actual facts that we know and go from there. That would
yeah.
I think that's the good stuff.
There's a he's on Threads, and he's done a book. He does a lot of podcasts. Dr. Jonathan Steyer.
Hmm.
He wrote a book called Mind the Science, which talks about the pseudoscience and stuff. He's a very interesting guy. He comes from clinical psychology,
Mm-hmm.
so um, he's one of those advocates. Um, like Dr. Andrea Love and a few others that push back against actual pseudoscience. So they push back
Yeah.
against RFK's nonsense and the, those industries that they promote. Um,
Right.
yeah, he's an interesting guy. He might be interested in having that
Okay.
conversation.
Okay. Well, I made a note, so I wrote the name down. So
Yeah,
sounds that sounds good. Um,
yeah.
oh, RFK. Thanks for bringing that up. Now
Sorry.
I'm gonna have heartburn for the rest of the night.
Yeah,
But um, anyway, so that's probably the wrap up of the things that I'd want to change.
yeah,
A little bit more of those stories, I think, would be good. As long as they're just people asking questions that led them to something else, that's fine.
yeah,
Um, if I may use that as a transition, as we
yeah,
get to the point where we're kind of wrapping things up. See, I'm
yeah.
trying. I'm trying to work this
You are
along.
trying.
See how I'm
Yeah, yeah,
trying.
yeah.
Um, outside of the United States, since you are and I am not, uh,
Mhm.
what do you all think of us? I know that you can't speak collectively for everyone, but you probably have
Mm,
circles, and there are
yeah.
no doubt intelligent circles. What is it like to look on the outside of the United States now and say, "Huh, that's interesting." What do you guys think?
I think there is a few schools of thought. Now we have the equivalent right wing. I don't know if they're as far as MAGA, and they are, but Reform, which is Nigel Farage. Those
Okay.
people who support that think what's going on in the US is wonderful.
Hmm.
They're all for that kind of
Yeah.
regime. The people that I particularly talk to, and we do try to be as objective about it, and that it almost looks like madness. Um, one thing I said to a friend of mine, he's English, in a conversation with another friend who lives in Minnesota. So he lives in North Minnesota, which is a blue state, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, but he's actually in a pocket that's red.
Yes.
And he's got this, he was under this impression that the world is just falling, I mean, falling and falling and falling apart.
Right.
And it looks that way, I suppose, if you're on the inside. From
Hmm.
the outside, there is some hope. I think there is some hope. There are things that are happening that might mean that you could be in a situation that's going to go on longer than what you intend, but not necessarily with this regime. There was a good video on TikTok, a guy explaining the outcomes of where you are and
Right.
how authoritarianism goes after it ends.
Hmm.
And if I remember, he said, yeah, I think it's the next regime comes in but changes nothing because it's stable,
Hmm.
which is not a
Yeah.
good outcome.
No.
The military step in and remove the regime, but they take over, but they don't work on a democracy. So
Hmm.
you're probably not going to get a democracy through a military takeover. But military takeovers tend to be temporary.
Hmm.
So there is future. Uh, the third one, I can't remember what. He said someone who's in has the power and money to step into the void and just push it even further.
Yeah.
Or the fourth one, but he said he talks about historically the fourth one is the one that doesn't happen so much, which is the best outcome, which is that the people kill it dead and from the ashes rises democracy.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the rare one. I I'm under the impression that watching No Kings. No Kings was amazing, even from an outside view, the numbers and that. But it looks like a lot of it's performative rather than, you know, people talking about it's a party and, and joy. Now, joy is really good. I think it's a really good counter to what's going on
Mm-hmm.
because what regimes like that generally don't want is people showing joy. It's almost the enemy of what they want. They want you in fear. So
Yeah.
yes, it's good, but it does kind of look a bit performative at times. Oh, let's make armbands. I'm not going to make any. From my point of view, I don't know how that's going to change it.
Mm-hmm.
It might spread a message, but I'm not sure it's going to have that kind of effect.
Yeah.
I think there was 7 million in the No Kings protest.
Anywhere between 650,000 to 7 or 8.1 or 10. I don't know what
Yeah,
the actual
yeah.
number is, but I
The
don't
number
look at
we've
numbers, so I
heard
don't care.
on the outside, yeah, the number we was around 7 million,
It's
which
around 7 million, though. I think
I
is an accurate.
don't, yeah, I don't think it doesn't quite reach the threshold of what, if you read books like by Anne Applebaum and these
Right.
political
The
people, that the
3.5% of sustained.
3.5%,
Yeah.
yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
reach that yet. But it's a good
Yeah.
sign because you've gone from, what was it, 5 million in the first protest?
Oh, yeah. The first one, I wasn't paying attention to a lot of those at the
Yeah,
time.
it was about 5.
Uh, but it's going up for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going up, and that's a good sign. That's hopeful. That's really
Yeah.
hopeful. And the fact
Okay.
that it looks like there intends to be more of this.
Hmm.
Um, I know there's talk, people, and I know I think you've mentioned it, a general strike.
It's never going to happen.
Yeah, and
I
I
know.
think I know
I
why it's
mention
not
it,
going to happen.
and
Yeah,
and maybe my idea of what that is different than what other people think it is, or my approach to that. But anyway, I want you to finish your observations,
yeah. I
and then
think
I'll
I think
chime in.
if you're going to go down the general strike route, there is people that thinking, how am I going to feed, keep a roof over my head. I
Yeah.
understand that, but you don't have not the whole country doesn't have to strike. You just hit the services that matter.
Hmm.
So you
Yeah.
need teachers
Yeah.
because teachers means kids can't be in school, which means it affects. There's a knock on
Hmm.
services like rail or subways. You're never going to get the police to do
What
it.
are those? We don't have a lot
Yeah,
of those in America,
yeah,
unfortunately.
certainly in cities like New York, if the subway
Oh yeah,
shuts,
totally
it
different
shuts
in
down
New
New
York.
York.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's what I
completely
mean.
different.
So there are services across the country in different places that it
Hmm.
could affect. Um, the one that would be good is farming, but
They're doing all right. They're
yeah,
taking care of themselves
yeah.
by their own hand,
But
unfortunately.
it's been strategic in how you strike
Yeah.
to get that change from an outside point of view.
Hmm.
Uh,
It must
but
look
I
like
do
chaos.
understand
It probably
that,
looks like chaos.
yeah. And the other thing that occurs to me is uh, I live in a country that's done strikes. Different industries have done strikes,
Yeah.
um, and it's caused chaos.
Yeah.
And I look at the United States and I think, well, your history is protest. You're a protest nation. You protested against the British.
That's not really our history.
Yeah, I know. No.
Our history started there, but our history
Yeah.
is rebellion.
Yeah.
We
Rebellion. Yeah.
are
Yeah.
a rebellious people. We don't want people to tell us what to do. You saw that during COVID. Anyone with a
Yeah.
brain knew that not the federal government did not do anything about mandating, I mean, with the exception of public transit on like airways and buses, right?
Yeah, did
But
nothing to mandate it. No.
but but lockdowns and mass mandates and things like that, those happened at a local and a state level, not at the federal government level. So it was not. I just knew it wasn't going to last very long. Like
Yeah,
people were going to get upset because we don't like being told what to do, right?
yeah. But you did
So
protest Vietnam. You
yes, the
protested
'60s.
civil rights.
Hmm.
That period, there was a
That's
lot of
true.
protest in it,
We've
and
grown into it. I would say that
yeah.
you know.
And so when I look at it and I think, well, you are capable,
Hmm.
but when we see it here, we're like, why are you having your No Kings protests on a weekend
Hmm.
when it disrupts nothing? And that's not just, I mean, European friends that I've got and I see online and that are asking the same questions,
Yeah.
and
Same.
it's like, yeah, you've got, and I think you did mention it. I think you've mentioned it.
Oh yes, yes. I I'm like I called it an arts and crafts show is what I called it because
Yeah,
I'm like you
yeah,
guys are making signs and going.
yeah.
How how arrogant of me to say that, having never been to a protest before. How stupid of it me was it to say that? And I'm telling you right now, CM, it was dumb. I should not have said that. And it's now my time to tell you what I saw and what I see. Okay.
Yeah,
My normal day, right, goes a little something like this. I wake up, I sleep in a little later because I got used to it during the pandemic. So I wake up and I have to start off the day with a shower. I just have to. So take a shower, get ready, give the boy some milk, put it in the fridge because the container's heavy and he's small. And so, I'm out the door and I stop at a petrol station.
yeah.
See, I'm trying to help you out here. Stop at a
I know.
convenience
Yeah,
store, and spend, usually a little bit of money on something, like a drink or whatever. Why do I do that? Do I need to? No, but I kind of like the interaction with people, so I
mm,
just do. It's a weird thing. Americans and their convenience store addiction. I don't know why we do it, but we just do. And then I just drive down the road and then I go to work, and I see no chaos, no burning, no nothing. No, it's just a normal day. I might have a irritated driver next to me, but that's probably everywhere, so not a big deal. I go into work. Um, I, I do my job. I interact with my coworkers. Come home at the end of the day, trying to get back into working out because I did it very intensely for 2 years until this year, and then it just all fell apart.
yeah,
Like after after my dad died in January, it just kind of went downhill,
yeah,
where I just kind of like stopped doing that kind of stuff. But I'm getting there. I'm getting back into it. Yeah, come home from work, have that, and then hang out with the family. Right
yeah,
now, throughout the day, I work at a place that tends to have people. We're so diverse. Oh man, like we had a little company fun day in the afternoon where they brought in some food trucks, and I was noticing all of my coworkers, you know, different races, people that can speak different languages, different religions, different styles of clothing. Because where I work, they're pretty lax on. There's not really like a dress code or anything like that. And so I'm kind of in a bubble, but the people that I interact with, like nobody is okay with what's going on at all, right? And
yeah,
my boss, he has mentioned going to some of the other protests, um, like the Tesla takedown, where they protest outside Tesla dealership,
yeah,
and then also he went to the first No Kings one. He didn't get to make this one because they had an obligation, but I decided for whatever reason to go because I've been having this thought in my head of, am I crazy? Am I driven mad by what I see online? Right? Because it's a lot.
Mm.
And am I alone? Because increasingly I'm suspect of the interactions that I have online because I don't know if they're a real person. I'm a real person. You and I are literally looking
Yeah,
at each other having a conversation, right?
yeah,
And you never really know. And since I know these things can be programmed or people can be um, motivated to get online and just be antagonizing just for that, because some people like to watch the world burn. I I am suspect of my interactions. So it's like, am I crazy, and am I alone in this? I know I'm not completely alone because I talk to my coworkers and we share a lot of the same concerns. And then there's a sweet little old lady that walks her aging geriatric dog by the house. And even though we only have cats, I keep some dog treats so that way I can go out and, like, visit and
yeah,
give Zach a few milk bone dog treats, and we have a nice conversation. And you know what she told me? She said, "Well, what are your plans for today?" This was Saturday, and I said, "Well, we're gonna we're gonna go. My wife and I are gonna go to." Uh, the early morning protest, which was at a city closer to us, and then I said, then I'm gonna drive down in the afternoon in downtown Kansas City to the other one, and I was gonna do that by myself because the wife didn't want to go,
yeah,
and so she said to me, she said, "I'm so glad you're going." She said, "Because I would like to go, but I'm old and I really I'm really concerned about how this is going." And she said, "And my neighbors down the street, they feel that way too." And she said, "So I'm glad you're going in my place." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way. That there are people that can't go. It's not that they don't want to; they literally can't. This woman does have like some scoliosis, kind of hunched over. She walks
yeah,
really slow when she walks the dog. So I thought that was interesting, and that was before I even got started. So we go to the first protest, and it's at an intersection that's pretty heavily trafficked, and there is um, people with different signs, and people would drive by and honk enthusiastically. They would wave, they would videotape, they would give us a thumbs up. And we were talking earlier about ratios. The
yeah,
ratio of people that drove by and flipped us off, and did this. Just kidding.
yeah.
They, they,
It's a very, very
you know,
British thing.
yeah, I know,
You
yeah.
don't want.
Well, you can think the which Gallagher is the singer for Oasis. You could thank him
Yeah,
for my
Liam,
education
Liam
on
Gallagher. Yeah,
Liam. Yeah, you could thank Liam Gallagher for his education to me about how to flip somebody off,
yeah,
in a different way. But the people that drove by and flipped us off or gave us a thumbs down was, I don't know, that ratio would have been like 500 to 1. I mean, and they were the one. I mean, they were severely outnumbered. I mean, there was so much enthusiastic support, and that really struck me. I was like,
yeah,
wow, I'm not alone. So that was the first, like, I'm not alone. The crazy part was still, I'm not sure, right? Because this was basically just people lining the intersection. I got to turn my heater back on. Hold
yeah. Okay.
on. Yeah. So they're on all four corners of the intersection and they've got their signs, and it's interesting to read all of their signs and their creativeness. And then that was over. So came home, dropped off the wife, got a quick snack, went down to the other one. Now, the one in downtown Kansas City, which it's an area called the Plaza, which is pretty high end. It's older, and there's a lot of money, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, it was supposed to start at 2, and I got down there at 1:30, and there's already like a lot of people there, and I'm thinking, okay,
Yeah.
this is interesting. Yeah, and they're all waving at me and honking, and I'm just giving the thumbs up. I'm like, I just need to park. So I park, I grab my sign, and I get to the park where where everybody is forming up. And protest is not the right word to describe what I saw. Rally is a better word to describe what I saw, because
Yeah.
there were it answered the other question, am I crazy? And the answer is no, I'm not
No. No.
crazy.
Yeah. No.
There are people of all different types that are really, really not happy with what's going on, and they want to start to do something about it. And there were people there were groups, that grassroots efforts that were collecting signatures for ballot initiatives, right? Because
Yeah.
they still have hope that maybe we could do something through legislative
Legislation.
processes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. But they're trying, and they're working hard at it. There other things that I saw was, I don't know if you heard about this, but excuse me. Um sometimes some right wing people with their mask on would show up in like a U-Haul truck, or a rental truck, that, big box that you just shove crap
Yeah.
in and unload. And I was on the street with my little sign, just standing there, and I was next to a girl, and her sign said something about no gods, no monsters, and I'm like, hey, my sign says no gods, no monsters too,
Mhm.
because my sign said equality and freedom for all, kings for none, and then it said no, and then it said gods, monsters, pedos, or kings.
Yeah.
So, um, and that was great, because I'm not alone, and I'm not crazy, right? So, and but there was a U-Haul truck that drove by, and I saw somebody out of the corner of my eye that was just down from me, and she had on a headset, and I heard her say, a U-Haul truck just went by, we need to keep an eye on it. So there were people there that were watching to make sure that,
Spotters. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
that that things kept under control, and I was really, really encouraged by that. I
Yeah.
felt safe. But the people that I interacted with, the people that I talked to, the I can't remember if I posted the video of the little drumming that happened, but there was like a
I
group
don't know
of
whether you did. I
younger
don't know whether you did
people.
post that one. Mm.
Yeah, there's a
I
group
saw
of
some of the
younger
other stuff.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a group of young adults in their 20s, and they had drums, and they they were just playing like typical marching band type of music, dun, 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 just repetitive type stuff, and it was so tribal. It was, wow. I was entranced. I just stood there, and I'm like, I got to get this on video. And like, I watched the video later, and I'm like, that in no way captures how I felt at that moment,
No.
because it was just so impressive. And then they did have some speakers there that came and talked about things like what they're trying to do with gathering signatures, and then about labor movement, labor union. There was some guy there with, I don't know, he was talking about the labor union, and how they want to try to fight back about some things, and how you needed to get more involved in your community, and about how you needed to get to know your neighbors better, because let's face it, in this world, a lot of us don't know our neighbors that well, at least not here in the States.
No.
And
No, it's no
so
different here.
it's like, and so I realized how important that rally or protest, however you want to look at it, how important it was,
Mm.
because it did the one thing that we haven't been able to do in like 2 decades, since 9/11, which is get people together, you
Yeah.
know. And you can't have a protest. You can't shut anything down if you can at least get people together on somewhat of the same page, right?
Yeah.
And I felt so good that day. I literally, like, I was able to ride that high Saturday and Sunday all weekend long. I was like, this is the first time I've had hope all year.
Yeah.
And I know it's fun to say, but it's true because it's from Star Wars. But
Yeah.
rebellions are built on hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
So
Yeah.
true. And you mentioned those four things, and you mentioned the thing that was least likely, that I actually think that it's a very real probability.
Yeah, I do as well. I actually do think that.
Be-
But but
because and a lot of it
it's the
was
history.
because of
Sorry.
this. I Because I've seen that we're starting to figure out that we can come together. And I was even hanging out with some people that they are Christians. I was hanging out at the rally with
Yeah.
some Christians, and I talked to them, and I said, I had on my atheist hat. I have a ball cap that just has the A logo on it,
Yeah.
um, which is like my avatar, actually. Uh, and then there was a guy that he had on. I don't know what denomination it is, but it's like the chalice or whatever. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a cup,
Yeah.
and it
Like
had a
like the
cross inside of it.
yeah. I
Yeah,
know the one.
but it was multicolored. And I told this guy, I said, "Well, I said I like your shirt. I said, um, but I like that we're out here." I said, I'm an atheist, and I pointed to my hat, and I said, "And you're not," but I said, "I guess we can find some common ground here." And
Hmm.
he goes, "Well, if you notice about this, we're accepting of all sorts of people. So yeah, I think we can find a common ground against this, right? The bigger picture." And that really struck me. Like, it was good because I just needed to know that that us stupid Americans can actually find a way to work together on something.
Yeah.
And then after I saw the numbers, I mean, the January 6th insurrection was no more than 2,000 people.
No, no more than that. I can give you some data on what the biggest right wing protest has been.
Okay.
It was in 2019, and it was an
Oh, yes.
anti-abortion protest, and it was uh, around 200,000 people.
Was that in DC?
Yeah,
Yeah. I think I vaguely remember that.
yeah. So that is there. That is if you want to, and I don't think we. I think it's wrong to say that the No Kings protest is a left-right issue.
Hmm.
Just because the regime, the government might be right, it doesn't mean that there are people on the right who all agree with it. Because I know
Oh,
they don't.
yeah.
But if you're going to talk about protests from the right that are big, that's their biggest in
Hmm.
your history. And the only
Yeah.
reason I know that was I'm kind of feeling it might. I don't know whether it was Godless Engineer or Forrest that mentioned it.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah, it's quite interesting.
after last weekend, keeping in mind that January 6th was 2,000 people, and this regime keeps getting more unpopular by the day, literally every day.
Yeah,
Um,
cattle
I
farmers,
real I
ranchers. He's
realized that
yeah,
if if the opposing side wanted, meaning non-MAGA, wanted to do the same thing that MAGA tried to do on January 6th, they could just walk up and take it.
yeah, yeah,
They really
yeah,
could,
yeah,
because they just don't have the numbers. They are louder than they are numerous.
yeah. I think the one thing a unpopular government fears is the people.
as it should be.
Yeah, as it should be. I'm going to tell you my friend's experience because he lives probably 20 to 30 miles from the Canadian border.
Yeah.
He lives in a very small, remote community. He had to go to the nearest town, which I think he said was about a 20-minute drive,
Hmm.
and he was nervous. He's surrounded
Yeah.
by Trump voters. He was nervous. He thought that there'd be very few people there. Well, in this town, he said that a population is no more than 700 people.
Hmm.
There was around 1,000 people protesting,
That's awesome. Yeah.
which is awesome. My first question to him, we were talking on Discord, and I said to him, "How do you feel now? What's your view of what's going on?" And he just said to me, he said, "We're being lied to all the time." He said, "I finally just realised that I think the majority isn't wearing a red cap that says MAGA." And I went,
No.
"No, it's not." And I just said to him for the first time, because we've had some conversations, and he repeats the Fox News that he hears from the people around him, the Newsmax talking points. And I said
Yeah.
to him, "Now are you going to listen? Now you understand that they are just shouting louder. You are the quiet majority, but you've got
Hmm.
to raise that voice."
Yeah.
And I think what you've said, I mean, I purposely held some of my thoughts back when initially, I think
Hmm.
there is hope. I really
Yeah.
do. And we do see that. But my points about sometimes it's a bit theatre rather than action,
Mm.
I think are valid in some cases.
Yeah. So I agree. And then also after last weekend, I disagreed. Just going back to what I was saying, we've been so divided and so personalized about everything revolves around me, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
whenever you can break through that programming, if you will, to get to the point where you can start thinking about us. Oh, now we got something. Now we got something we can work with. And that's a societal issue that is compounded by technology and convenience. Um, but it was not convenient to take a part of my weekend, which is supposed to be a play day, right? And I'm going
yeah,
to go do something, and I'm not going to get paid for it. Nobody,
yeah,
nobody cut me a big fat check,
yeah.
to go and hang out with other people. And even though I agree that it does have the appearance of performative, it it also brings with it some added other benefits that we, at least
Oh
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
I didn't fully acknowledge that I needed, you know.
yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what happens now. Um, I think I don't. It makes you wonder what is the tipping point for, because it goes one way or the other. Either the authoritarian side says, we're going to lean hard and we're really just going to crush everything, um, or the non-authoritarian side says no you're not. So but there'll be an event, there'll be something that happens that
Yeah,
causes,
there will be.
and I think their strategy, if I could add this real quick, I think the
Yeah,
strategy of trying to demonize, like MAGA trying to demonize everybody else, I think that's a losing strategy. Because if you tell somebody that you're demons, you're evil, you're awful, you're terrorist for having a different opinion, then eventually those people go, well, if that's how you think about me, then I guess I'll just live up to it. And
yeah,
then uh, whenever you don't have any hope to lose, when you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, you
yeah.
can't you can't beat an opponent like that.
No,
It doesn't
no.
happen, you know. So that's
Yeah,
my thoughts on
my friend from Minnesota did say to me, what would ever convince the hardcore MAGA ordinary supporters, not the influencers, but to change? And from what I mean, I've read quite a bit about authoritarian regimes over the last year. It's
Hmm.
become an interest for the reasons that you're living
Yeah.
more so. And I'm watching that they're trying to instill that kind of thing here. Don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here with all the solutions because I have not.
Yeah.
It's being pushed here as well. And the one thing I know that drives, even in whether it's a cult or anything, is the minute you starve the people, you override everything you've done because you hit a basic need and instinct
Hmm.
to eat. And once you take away one of the primal requirements to a people, you have a problem. It's why
Yeah.
North Korea doesn't starve the people, Russia doesn't starve the people, starve
Hmm.
some of them, but they don't do enough. And
Yeah.
these regimes don't do it because that is dangerous.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing from what he's doing with tariffs, the ways affecting ranchers and other industries, that's where it's going.
Oh, it definitely affects everybody. I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like I have a good salary to take care of myself and my family. Not that we get to like live high on the hog or anything, but I'm
no,
good. But it's still
yeah,
super tight all the
yeah,
time. And I think, man, it gives me a lot of compassion for those that are less fortunate than myself. I'm like, "Whew, man, you guys must be. And
yeah,
then what can I do to help? Like I've seen some things about like, well, if this goes past November 1st, that and some of the SNAP, it's a program, it's a low
yeah.
income program,
No,
right?
it's
For
yeah.
the yeah.
I'm aware.
And yeah, and so it's like I saw, and I think I reposted this about like, yeah, give to your local food banks, and I'm like, well, we've
Yeah,
volunteered at local food banks, so that's no big deal. We know where to go, so happy to just you know add $50 to the grocery bill. I mean, why not, right? I mean, it's either the cats or
yeah.
the kids or the helping somebody else, so I might as well help out my neighbor too. And yeah, and help contribute to that, to try to bridge the gap until all of this, because it won't go on forever. There will be
No,
one
no.
side
I
will
mean, it never
give,
goes on forever.
so uh but that's actually a good thing, I think. But I think you're absolutely right that whenever you have a really basic service, which, as you know, healthcare in America is weird.
Yeah,
But like if that were to happen, like if the healthcare prices would skyrocket because of signing off on this new budget,
yeah,
that would probably do it, honestly, because Americans
yeah,
don't like
yeah.
their money fucked with. They just don't.
No, no,
you
no,
you know.
no. And I know that because although I think you haven't done it to me, that other people, other Americans I've had conversations with, the
Yeah.
first thing they say is, "What do you do for a living? How much do you earn?" And I'm like, that
Yeah.
doesn't happen here. So for me, it's a really weird thing to ask.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether it's normal. I'm assuming it might just be part of everyday conversation.
It's a normal icebreaker. That's
Yeah,
usually because people don't know what else to say, and instead of talking about the weather, they say, "Oh, what do you do?" Not
yeah,
that it matters. Not that, that nobody ever asked me how much I make, but they just say, "Oh, or what line of work are you in?" Usually, it's a way to, well, maybe if they do something that I know something about it, then we can take the conversation a little bit further easily, right? So
yeah,
if I say, "Well, I work on guitars all day long," and you say, "Oh, I work on amps," I'm like, "Wow, look at that!" So now we've got
yeah.
something we
You're
can
just
build a
trying to find
conversation
common
on.
ground. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So,
yeah,
but
because it
there's
doesn't. Yeah,
go ahead.
doesn't happen here. Because it doesn't happen here. It's a bit odd
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
me. But yeah,
Yeah.
and what I do always, it's always a funny thing to you say I teach communication. Oh, so you're in telephone industry? No, no, I teach communication.
Yeah. Yeah. how to talk on the telephone,
Yeah,
how to get
yeah,
people to buy telephones, how to write about telephones.
yeah. What was I doing? What did I do? What's the most recent thing I've done? Oh, teaching recruitment agencies to ask for covering letters. So if somebody sends a resume in, let them send the resume in, then later ask for a covering letter and match the two and see whether they're being honest.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because we
Okay,
used to send them together. When I was younger, you'd send the covering letter with,
yeah,
and you can match them up that way, but then you can surprise the person by asking for it a week later.
right. Yeah,
Because not
that's
everyone
interesting.
goes, I'll get that resume CV out
Yeah,
and check what I've put. They don't. They
right.
just think they know it.
Yeah,
So I've done things like that recently. That's quite interesting.
yeah. So I don't know. We should probably wrap this up. You think? I
Yeah, we
think we're
should.
probably
We should.
getting to a good time. But and
Yeah.
to bring it all home, uh, it kind of talks about what we started at in the beginning. I love callbacks, but which is failure. You know, I've seen these really negative posts about like the American experiment has failed. Isn't that good? Don't we need to fail to get better? You
Yeah.
know, it's like the
Yeah.
guitar thing, or learning how to write, or not saying whenever you talk. Like you have to fail. And I would agree. There's some pretty big components of the United States that has absolutely failed. Let's fix that. So, and I'm hoping that and hopeful that maybe we can get there. And I've long suspected that we would have to have pain before we could get to that point. And we are experiencing the pain that comes whenever you play the guitar or lift the
Yeah.
weights or go on the run. We finally reached it. And we
Yeah.
probably need just a little bit more. I think a little bit more has to happen. But then after that, I'm interested to see what happens because eh, you know, the United States, because of Reagan, the great communicator,
Oh,
talked about the shining city on the hill, right? Which is, I think,
yeah.
an allusion to a poem, but I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but I would hope that we could find a way through this, and then maybe be that shining city again for other authoritarian regimes to say that doesn't work anymore. That's old school. What works
Yeah.
better is humanitarianism, like actually being there for each other and treating people equally.
Yeah.
And the moment in history, if you know anything about like geopolitics, we are so ripe for a major change of something. And we just don't know. It'll either be heavy on authoritarianism, or I think there's actually a shot we have to go the other direction. I'm not talking about Marxism or
No.
socialism or communism or any of the other isms. I'm just talking about a restructuring to where we rethink how we treat people in the
Yeah.
world. So,
I have a closing thought about the United States, and I think
okay,
it would be a really good starting point is to
please let me have it.
abandon the idea of the American dream and write a new one.
I agree. I,
Because from an outside point of view, it almost looks like one of the biggest lies ever sold to a nation. Almost looks like. I'm not saying it is. I think
yeah.
it may have started with good intention,
Hmm.
but it's been corrupted. And
Yeah,
I think just start again.
I'm good.
Coming from a
I'll,
nation that's got a terrible history.
yeah. Well, I think they all do. And I think
Yeah,
that it is time to write a new dream.
yeah,
So, but that's the cool thing is we can if we just choose to.
yeah, yeah.
That's
It's
that's
in your
literally
hands.
yeah. So
My
we'll
hope
see.
is you do.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me and taking
That's
time out
fine.
of your day. This
It
has been cathartic. I'll say that much. So,
yeah,
so
I,
okay.
yeah.
Oh, go
Anytime.
ahead.
any time.